the Combe Valley Campers channel. This week we are live in our garage. I hope I've got this right. It was a little bit rushed hair today, and I hope this will work. Mainly because I just went to go and set up all the live thing, and the screen protector on my phone is so incredibly poor that you couldn't see it. So I've had to sort of take off the front screen protector off of the phone, but then the back won't hold the phone in. So there's one of my girls' hair ties holding the phone to the case, because if I do drop it, I'm in real trouble. I don't have another phone. So welcome back to the channel. We are going to be restoring this paintwork today. And if I bring you a little bit closer, I've already done some of it in another video. We actually did this on the whole YouTube channel. There's one whole video on it. And we restored paint that looks like this to paint that looks like this. You can see it on the sliding door, and you can see it on the front of the van there. So with you guys today, I thought we'd do it live, and we'll have some chats as well, and we'll do the Q&A like we said before. Already we've got Ash in, the Black Pearl. He says, yo, how's it going, Ash? Nice to see you. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is what we're going to be doing today. Now, as you can see, and I apologise for the angle being super tight, that looks terrible, but I'm hoping within the next hour we can restore some of it to look like this sliding door. And man, I cannot wait to put some sound editing and stuff in this van. So first of all, how are you all? How are you doing? Oh, we've got some comments in already. Mr. Bullet Dodges in, says evening, good evening. The Black Pearl says, yeah, oh man, all good. Two Wheels, One Idiot's in again. He says evening, was just in the middle of the T7 review. Yes, that's another thing we can discuss today. Let's have a live chat about that. Let's have a live chat about the new Volkswagen Transporter and what you think about it. And I will give you my live review of it as well. It's an interesting vehicle, isn't it? Interesting vehicle, interesting concept. What do you reckon? What do you reckon? Now that should be the thumbnail right there, shouldn't it? Me doing something like that. Mr. Bullet Dodger is Sean, my bro. Brilliant. Oh, I didn't know that. Two new SKL, not for me. SKL, is that something I'm not getting? Oh, two new school, not for me. Yeah, I get it. I get it. Now, I know Dommy and I, we own a pretty new vehicle. But that is the last of the Transporters, right? The last of the Transporters. So, yeah, I don't know. I just didn't get the right vibe from the van. And again, we can talk about this later. But yeah, I didn't get the right vibe from it. Now, I think I might have forgotten some bits and pieces, but what I haven't forgot is a drink. Now, it's a pretty dull drink today, because it's actually an alcohol-free one, because that's all I had in the fridge. But I'm going to be drinking it anyway. So what we normally do is, when we're opening up the chat and when we're talking to all of you, we normally say, what are you drinking? Now, I have, and I know this is reversed to you for you, this is a Perlenbacher alcohol-free. It's the only one I had. In fact, have I got anything in there? I don't think I have, to be honest. Is there anything in there? Bear with us 1 second. I might have one in here. And if I do, I'll be cracking that open. No, that's utilities from the camper van. That's empty. That's a bit of a shame. Is there any in the cool box? Or is that empty as well? I think that's empty too. Yeah, oh well. Is it libations? Is that the word? No, whatever. I have got, at least it's fluid, right? So cheers. I have a Perlenbacher, 0 alcohol, fizzy water. This is a pretty unmanly day, isn't it, really? I've driven a brand new Ford Transit / Transport, and I'm drinking alcohol free. It's not a good look, is it, really? It's not bad. If you're going for an alcohol-free beer, it's not so bad. Right, Moke and Madness says, I understand why they have to do it, but to not use a VW engine, I don't get it. It's the heart of any vehicle. You are right. And I think that's one of the things that causes most controversy out there, isn't it? Well, in the video, I say there's 3 controversies with the new Transporter. One being that it doesn't look amazing, does it? It doesn't look amazing at all. The other one being that it's mainly Ford, not VW. And the third one being that engine, the wet belt engine. But I've learned some things since filming that video. I only filmed the video last week, and I've learned some things since. But let's go back to the comments. Mr. Bullet Jojo, that's Sean, says, could have been worse. You could have driven a Ford today. Oh, wait. Hailson S. Moray. I'm Brazilian and came to look at your work here in Brazil. I don't speak English, that's why I translate here on Google. If you answer, I won't understand because I don't speak English. So, I would like to say thank you for your comment. And I look forward to seeing more of your text translated down here. But let's hope you see what we are doing. I'm doing the English thing, aren't I? I'm trying to enunciate with my hands. It doesn't work like that, really, does it? Anyway, so we're working on this van today. This is my 1969 bay window bus. And as you can see, it's not mint. It's not mint in any way, shape or form. So the first thing I'm going to do is hit this with what's called CLR. Calcium, lime and rust remover. Now, I've seen this on the samba.com for many years, and I followed a thread on the Samba for a very long time called Reviving Old Paint, which is why I know this will come back, and it will come back quite well. So calcium, lime and rust remover is actually used for things like bathrooms and kitchen sinks and things like that. However, somebody used this on paintwork like that. I don't have a bowl with me right now, so I'm going to use a hubcap. Couldn't be more fitting, right? So I am using CLR. Well, it will remove the rust from that hubcap, right? So I'm going to use CLR, which is pretty stinky stuff. And I'm going to use Scotch-Brite. I've got the grey flavour right here. And then I'm just going to start cleaning it. And let's hope, if I bring you in a bit closer, you'll be able to see exactly what I'm doing. There we go. Let's go. We've got some more comments. Halson says, thank you for reading my message. You are more than welcome. And Sean says, at least the hubcap will be clean afterwards. Yeah, absolutely. Right, so I'm dipping this rust remover straight into the hubcap full of it. And I'm just going to start grafting. That doesn't help, does it? You can't actually see the bit I'm doing. There you go. So you can see already that I'm getting rid of the rusty colour, and the blue is starting to pop immediately. If I move over to here, now that rusty section is already going, and that blue is already starting to pop, so let's keep that going. Any more comments going on? Two Wheels One Idiot says, just check the data sheet for it and it's acid based. Chuck some goggles on. I just put my safety squints on, dude. It'll be fine. Right, so there you go. I'll just do that square to begin with. What do we reckon? Put that in there. Get a rag that I forgot to get out earlier. Excuse me. Ugh. Can't reach it. Hang on. Got some dirty rags. That'll do. So, straight away, just on that square, that CLR with a bit of elbow grease is working already. I'm going to come down the panel a little bit. I might have to tilt you down. Says lol. Now we burn like real men, says Sean. Yeah, we'll be fine. Right, is that nearly out of the shot? It will. I'll adjust the phone in a minute. But yeah, it's coming off already, right? And I'm going to guess this works on most things. So you can put it on the hubcaps, and I'll go all round this as well. In fact, let's hit that bit real quick. Bring the white out. You can actually see that this top half was covered in yellow. Just painted yellow, so almost like the Ukrainian flag, yellow and blue. But you'll just be able to see the yellow start popping out of there. So if we get straight on this, it's good. Good, so how's everyone been? I hope you're well. It's been another crazy week for us. We actually opened our showroom this weekend, once again, and that went down really well. Had some lovely people turn up. Customers bought some stuff. So if you're ever down in the southeast on one of our open days, come down and see us, guys. I'll be there, Dommy will be there, our cars will be there, plus you get to look around the showroom. What else we got going on? Subject change, your shop build looks bloody amazing, by the way. Thank you very much. Yeah, we're very proud of it. We're very proud of it. Right, let's see how we're looking. There you go, we're starting to pop. That white started to come out. And if you can see the difference between that bit and that bit we haven't touched yet, that's actually looking, I mean, you can tell the blue difference. That's really popping, and that's orange. If you go further down, that's what we've done, that's what we haven't. So, what's that, a couple of minutes? Right, I'm going to see if I can adjust you down a touch. Or do I just bring the whole camera down? There we go, that'll do. You just have to see us there. There we are, look. The Story Lab says, who's going to cut out the bad rust and weld in new steel? Well, I've got a couple of options. We've got a friend of mine named Martin, Dead Weld Fab. And, oh, let me do this bit, because we missed that bit. You ready? Ta-da. Let's do that bit there. Yeah, it's come out nice. Come out nice up there. Yeah, so a friend of mine named Martin, he's going to hopefully do that for us. Who else is in? Alex Renouf, drinking whiskey as usual. Excellent. The Story Lab says, what other cars have you rebuilt? Well, generally, we rebuild cars on the daily. We convert camper vans here at Combe Valley Campers, but right here, right now, I'm in my own garage. What are you drinking, by the way? The Story Lab. That's what we always ask in here. Oh, Goggy's in. Motivate. He says, hello, hello, hello. So cars I've rebuilt. I used to work for a restoration workshop where we rebuilt bays and bugs and splits and all sorts of stuff. It's mainly classic Volkswagens. I've always worked on my own cars. I've been paid to rebuild old cars. I'm not a welder. I'm not a fabricator. I prefer the detailed type stuff, stripping and fitting, the mechanical stuff. But in our own workshop, we just do camper builds. So we strip out a van, convert it into a camper, and yes, set it on its way, which is good fun. Right, now something that I haven't used for a while. In fact, the last time I used these was to prep the bodywork of my Beetle, because I didn't want to make loads of dust. It was actually these, which are the soapy Brillos. And what I'm hoping is, because I don't have my thinners tonight, but I've actually got paint and varnish remover. Do you know what? I'm going to try the paint and varnish remover first with some Brillos, because I don't have my thinners. The next stage normally is with this, is some wire wool and some thinners, but what I'm going to do is remove some paint and varnish remover instead. That's when I will have to get the ventilation going on. Oh, what have we got here? We've got TUK says hi. Pasia Beats. It's got a language there I can't understand, I'm afraid. Sean says, suppose you could go over that rust with cleaner, then touch up harder spots with Q rust. No, do you know what? These other bits here, I'm not actually going to be sort of repairing. I'm going to keep that sort of pitted rust in there. And then once it's all sort of said and done, obviously this rusty crusty stuff will be cut out and rewelded. But this rusty crusty stuff here, the stuff that doesn't have to need to be structurally welded, this whole thing is going to be getting like a clear coat. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do there. But man, with some sound editing, that's going to pop, isn't it? Right, bear with us 1 second. I'm just going to get some water. Sing to yourself for a minute. Just getting some water. I forgot it. Right, I'm back. Don't go anywhere. I'm back, people. Cool. Right, I've got some water. I think I'm going to owe my wife a jug. There we go. Right. So what I'm going to do, let's see if this works first. I'm going to use a soapy Brillo. Just a dab of water, nothing too crazy. And let's see how that's going to work for us. I'll concentrate on little bits at a time. But if this doesn't work, I'll get out the rust remover. Sorry, the paint stripper as well. Already you can see that's started to get some of the blue out. It's going to be a laborious task, so why don't we chat? Again, what have you guys been up to? It was a beautiful weekend. Did anybody else get out there and go camping this weekend? It was obviously Mother's Day for us this weekend, and my daughters had birthday parties and things to get to. Plus we opened the showroom on Saturday, so we didn't really get out and do camping. Friends of mine did. They went to the Tom Dibb concert, Tom Dibb camp out. That was, I think it was East Sussex or West Sussex, can't quite remember. But they went down there. They said they had a good time, and I saw some of the pictures. They said they had a good one. So that's really cool. Right, so that is getting some of the blue out, but I think I need something stronger to start eating into that blue, because it's only secondary paint. There you go, you can see that things are starting to come back already. Looks a bit better than that bit, doesn't it? That's for sure. So, I'm going to use hubcap number 2 and put a little bit of that paint and varnish remover in there. No, it's not the stuff of old, it's not the old Nitromors, but after doing a bit of research, this is kind of the strongest stuff. So I'm going to pour a touch in there. But I've got my glovies on, so let's see how this works. What else have we got? So, Alex says my T25 is currently dead. Oh mate, I'm sorry about that. Goggy says, Leigh, in your vid from last week, you briefly showed a modem for the T2 planar and mentioned you will get more details, but I think you forgot. What info do you have on it? Yeah, that's going to be covered in the next video. We're going to do a video just on it. Dub says, evening, just finished watching the T7 review. Chin rubbing, I would buy one, finishing off a cold beer. Oh, chin rubbing on would I buy one, finishing off a cold beer. Well, let's open up the discussion. Why would you, why wouldn't you buy one of those new ones? Sean says, you just got back from Dawlish, was a long drive. Mate, that does sound like a long drive. Right, let's dib-dab this in here. Now this is the paint remover. Gosh, that's working already. Literally just touched it on there, look. And that's already bringing off that blue. So I'm going to work in very small areas. And I reckon because I've abraded that blue already, gosh, that's working already, man. Let's keep going with that. You see that just coming off? And obviously I'm trying to get into the edges and stuff and not concentrate on the easy bits. Get right on the edges, trying to get all of that blue off. But I'm not after a perfect job. At the end of the day, this is a 50-odd-year-old car that's been painted twice. But obviously where I've spread this out, it's actually going to start eating in at the blue, because the blue is probably not a high quality paint compared to the VW original paint, which is why I've been able to revive it. Like that stuff there. It'd be cool. So yeah, Goggy, I will be talking about the modem in an up and coming video. We'll be talking about it a bit more. But yeah, it's a really nice feature. You basically, rather than using Bluetooth, you just text the modem. It's effectively its own text message receiver, and then it sends controls to the heater itself, and you just go from there. But man, check this out. It's actually going pretty well. There's a weird stain here. Almost looks like an enamel. There you go, that is coming back though, right? Check it out. Right, so Sean says, I have 2 reasons I wouldn't buy a T7.1. The wet belt is an engine I'd avoid at all costs. 2, I can't afford it. Yeah, do you know what? New vans are not cheap. I mean, any new car is not cheap nowadays. And money is tighter than it ever has been. So why would you buy one? I totally get it. So the wet belt engine. I have the pleasure of knowing a time-served Ford mechanic. I actually met him, again, I haven't spoken to him for years and years and years, and I met him at the VW dealership whilst I was dropping off an ID Buzz. That's right. After dropping off the T7 last week, I sweet talked the VW dealership into let me have the ID Buzz for a couple of days. And I actually loved that. Really enjoyed that. It's one of the best cars I've ever driven. It's, although it looks small in the pictures, it's quite big. It's quite a big car. It goes like an absolute rocket. When you put your foot down in an ID Buzz, it's like sitting in a roller coaster. It chucks you in the back of your seat and just flies off, absolutely disappears. And actually comes out cheaper than a new Transporter as well, which is kind of cool. So I was dropping off the ID Buzz and I met an old friend of mine who's a time-served Ford mechanic. I said, right, hit me with it. What's the deal with the wet belt engine? And he said, and now I can't paraphrase it or quote it directly because we were both in the middle of doing other things. But he said the biggest problem with the Transit van wet belt is the owner. I said, go on. He says, I have worked on a number of these, and if they fail, it's because the owner/driver did not service it on time, did not listen to the service schedules, or even the lights that come up up on the dash to say, I'm ready for a service, it's time to service. And when they do service, they just get Billy Bob down at the local garage to chuck in whatever oil, and then they wonder why the engines fail. He said, I also used to work for BT Fleet vehicles, and they never had any problems because they were serviced correctly and they were serviced on time and serviced on schedule and used the right oil, etc, etc. He says the biggest problem with the Transit wet belts are the owners and not looking after them properly. And now obviously VW and or Ford and or both have now replaced the wet belt, the first iteration of wet belt, with a new, less environmentally friendly wet belt, but stronger. Yeah, so Sean, we're getting onto that. He said the main reasons they crack, or the main reasons they degrade, is because, and again, don't quote me on this, I'm no mechanic. He says, when an engine is due for a regen, when it carries out the regen process, fuel gets in the oil. And when fuel gets in the oil, fuel gets in the wet belt, and fuel degrades the belt. It says, but if you do everything correctly, it says this can be avoided and you don't have the problems. Now take from that what you will. But from somebody who's been working on Fords for probably 15 years and is a very good mechanic regardless, to tell me that it's not the engines that are the problem, it's the owners, was quite insightful. So on that note as well, he's been working at the VW garage for the last year or so because VW get quite a lot of Ford's trade-ins when people get a new Transporter. They'll hand in their Ford Transit, and so they need a Ford Transit mechanic or somebody who's trained on Fords to work on the vans to help them spit the to help get them prepped, PDI them, whatever it might be, for resale for the used van market. So they employed this guy so he can work on the Fords exclusively. And he said, at this workshop in the last year, we've replaced somewhere in the region of 15 to 17 engines on Volkswagens, not on Fords, on Volkswagens. He says it's the EGRs on the Volkswagens that are the problems. So, I guess it goes with anything. New engines are maybe not designed for longevity. They're designed to be eco-friendly, which means they have different systems in place and they have to use very specific oils. You've got to service them very regularly, etc., and just generally look after them. Because a lot of people drive these vans like cars, not like vans. They sell them to you as a very comfortable van. They are designed as a van, but they make them very easy to drive, which means people drive them like cars. So yeah, take what you will from that. You know, the Ford Transit Custom is not an old, is getting on now, the original one, and they had the wet belts, etc., so people fall out of their first 3 years of ownership of servicing it correctly and then just get it serviced anywhere and then wonder why they have problems. And he told me, yeah, it's not the engines that are the problem, it's not the wet belts that are the problem, it's the owners. And unfortunately I met with him after making that video, literally the day after making that video, so I couldn't really put that information in the video. However, thank you for watching the video. Thank you for letting me know your thoughts. It's going to be interesting to go back and see the comments after this live's done, because already the comments are on fire, which is wicked. Anyway, let's go back to the comments. So, Dub says, Volkswagen was decent last weekend, so chilled. So, a chilled family one this weekend. I'm with the price on the T7, 40 grand a bit steep, time will tell. Yeah, absolutely. Two wheels, one idiot says, and excuse the finger, absolutely true. Aged oils past their best become acidic and would denature polymers belts very nicely, belts very nicely. Modern environmental constraints mean oils have a finite window, unlike oils of old. Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? It's quite an interesting thing. But it just means you've got to look after it. I mean, we came back from Poland at Christmas in Dommy's T6.1. I've just heard my kids jump scare each other in the kitchen. It made me panic because they don't often scream. So if you heard that in the background, don't worry about it. Where was I? Yes, so we came back from Poland last year. No, tell a lie. Yeah, we came back from Poland at Christmas. And pretty much the moment we got back, we changed the oil on the van. So we've had the oil in the van 3 months. And we're driving it to Spain on Saturday. We are going out for the Easter break / spring break, whatever it might be, to go and see Alex from Adventure magazine. And I will make sure that the oil is changed once again in Dommy's T6 before we leave, because it's probably going to be a 2,500, 3,000 mile trip, and I don't want any problems. So we're going to top up the AdBlue before we go. We're going to check the oil, check the water, check the coolant, do the tyre pressures, etc, etc. We're actually going to raise the back suspension a little bit as well, because we know we're going to be taking some weight with us. So yeah, we're going to be doing all those things. Check that out. It's actually getting there. Oh, Marcus is in. He says good evening. How you doing, buddy? Look, we're working on the bus. It looked like that, and then like that, and then like this. How good is that? If you don't work on your car, it won't. So I'm currently using an old VW hubcap to hold my paint stripper in, because I don't have any bowls that I want to sacrifice. So it's actually a hubcap that's going to go on this. In fact, I bet that worked quite nicely on there, wouldn't it? Anyway, get distracted. So I've got some paint stripper here. I'm sort of laying it on here, and it's not on here for long. It's not like I'm trying to strip a banisters. There's 40 layers of lead paint. That's the point. I don't even know the makeup of this paint. I'm just winging it, really. So sort of giving it a light coat. Let the paint stripper work its magic. And then I'm going in on it again with some soapy Brillo. I think I'm going to turn this over. Get some nice fresh stuff. Here we go. Chris Slatter says, haha, saw you earlier. Both daughters were at the same as yours. Saw the van and found the channel. Funny enough, I own a T5 long wheelbase T32. Nice, Chris. Nice to see you. Yes, we were... That's right, we had a party on Saturday for the eldest and a party today for the youngest. So... Does that mean you're Matilda's daddy? Ah, in the VXR. Yes, yes, yes. So thank you for joining the channel. Thanks for being a subscriber. That's very cool. I'm sure my daughter would be very impressed with that. So yes, this is what we're playing at this evening, Chris. We've done the bits with the parties. We've done the dinner. In fact, both kids have eaten now. They ate so much at the party. And we're continuing on with this. So yeah, in fact, at the party, I was sat in the van, not getting involved in the party, but I was in the van editing the video, or editing the last bits of the video that went up today at 6 PM. And then we've got this one here. So it's all good, man. It's all good. Right, so what should we do? What time are we on? We're half hour in. Dan's in. Dan. Got your t-shirt on, buddy. That's Dan from High Up Transporters. Two Wheels, One Idiot says, is this like the old man version of my young daughter watching unboxings? Pretty much. Yeah, absolutely. You just get to see some 40-year-old dude scrubbing paint. Yeah, my daughters are into all sorts of madness on their phones. It's very hard for a dad who does this as a job to dissuade your daughters to do it as a job, because they don't quite understand the internet. Like, I watch educational things on YouTube and I provide educational things on YouTube. I don't necessarily want to do dancing videos or things like that. So when your daughters want to do YouTube, just like Daddy, I have to try and dissuade them. But yeah, they love a bit of YouTube. Anyway, we've got 60 of you watching. Most of you have been watching a little minute. And can I ask you a favour? If you've been enjoying the content so far, just double tap the screen. And apparently that puts a like on the video. If you can do that for me, I'll love you forever, that's for sure. Right, where are we? Two Wheels, One Idiot says, is this like the old man boxing? Yes, Dan's giving us a kiss. Alex is in as well. He says, thumbs up, good stuff. Thank you very much, everybody. Give me the thumbs up. That helps me. That helps the channel. That helps this live video get pumped out to a few more people. If anybody wants to see blue paint being stripped from an old camper van, then they are more than welcome. Right, I'm going to dib-dab this cloth. Yeah, my wife's going to go mad. I've just used one of her nice jugs. There we go, check that out. Now, that already looks like it's still got a bit of orange in it. You might not be able to see it on the video, but that's still got a little bit of a rusty tinge in there. So what I'm going to do, I'll bring you in. Can you see that? It's got a little bit of a rusty tinge in there. Excuse all the heavy body rot. But that white's got a little bit of a rusty tinge in there still. So what I'm going to do is go back to the CLR in hubcap number 1 and see if I can bring some of that orange out of that white paint. There's a proper concoction of probably highly toxic chemicals right now in my little garage. Hey ho, it's all about the content, isn't it? Got to keep the people happy. But yeah, this is the sort of job, this is the reason why I've brought this bay in here, into the garage. Because I can just come out for an hour and I can do this, not disturb anyone. It's quiet. Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, it's quiet. Yeah, it's a bit stinky. But I'm not disturbing anyone. I'm just having some fun and I can chat to you guys. Right, I'm going to crack open another Brillo. Do you know what? I'm going to try a scourer, a green scourer with the nasty paint remover and see how that works. Right, give it a bit of a coat. Which way should we go? Should we finish this bit? Yeah, we'll get this square done. Right? Oh yeah. That's working just as good, if not better. Oh, I like this. Cool. Right, where are we? I've gone up. There we go. So, Dan says 60 of us watching strip paint. Yeah, that's about right. Alex Renew says, is there an easy way of balancing carbs? If you don't know, take it to an expert. But you can get these gauges that you pop on each carb to they read the airflow into the carb. I can't remember what they're called. Again, I'm no real mechanic. BTW IDK says, hey, that's my 1975 car. Hey, VW. Well, for a start, it's not a 1975, so guess again. Mr. Bullet Dodger says, think we all have one of our wives' jugs in our garage. 2 Wheels on it says, won't get any moss or mildew on it for a few years at least. Yeah, absolutely. Sounds silly, but would it get better results applying that rust cleaner clean, otherwise rubbing dirt into the old paint? Would it be better results applying that rust cleaner clean, otherwise rubbing dirt in the old paint? Have you seen the old paint? Rubbing dirt into it is the least of my concerns right now, dude. And I'm rubbing it down with a metal scourer. A steel wool scouring pad. Getting a tiny bit of dirt in it at this stage. Maybe once I've lacquered it. Again, is it pointless lacquering it? Probably. Tell you what though, that hubcap's cleaning up nice in there, look. I see some shiny bits. So yeah, a hubcap that's full of brake dust. Just all adds to the mix, doesn't it? Why not? Turn that around now. But it's getting the blue paint off and that's all I'm after. Just trying to bring back the old OG white. I think it's L75 is the paint code. There's got to be a VW nerd out there that knows. Or I could go and check the VIN plate behind the front seat. Who wants me to do that? But that, even that lumpy stuff, like that's got quite a texture to it. That's a lump of paint there. Smooth lump. There we go. What have people got planned for the summer then? Anybody going away somewhere nice? Somewhere in the UK? Scotland, Wales, the West Country? I look forward to going to Newquay for a run to the sun. Is anybody else going down there? That's going to be a good weekend. So I look forward to that. We got our tickets when they were first released, so they weren't ridiculously expensive. But yeah, look forward to going there. That's going to be a nice patch to remove, isn't it? But what I'll do, I'll get you in. Hang on, what's this? Airflow gauges, look like snails. There we go. Used them plenty, but if you have a good set of My Match carbs provided, you have the linkage properly set, you're normally very close. John Rambo, I did for the Nookie. Marcus says, I will be near Nookie in 2 weeks, he says. Good stuff. I think we need a bit more paint stripper because I'm going to have to attack that. Right, I'm going to undo you here. And let's see, I'm going to flip that round. And I'm going to show you here. But I'll get my rag. Whoop. Right. There we go, that's better. So, despite that now being white, and excuse the light, this is what we were like, right? This is what we were like, and now we actually have a good bit of white paint. However, and if this zeroes in, can you see, gosh, that light's horrible, but can you see the texture of the paint? It's lifting, it's got cracks, obviously there's water underneath. And you can just see, oh, there you go. If I put my digit in there, it sort of stops the flickering. Stop it. But yeah, if you see the texture of the paint, it's definitely going to need like a gloss. And then you come down to here. There's the lumpy bits I've been talking about. And I'm trying to revive this like some sort of idiot. Right, there you go. There's the really gnarly texture. But all of this bit, and again, we're on this part of the panel here. See this really mad texture? This whole door was like it too. And that's how it's turned out. Once you get on it, it's actually not the worst. So yeah, that's what we're dealing with. Let's go back to the comments. Whoops. There we go. Goggy says, summer, going Canada, meet old friends, tagging brown bears, then going back doing France, Portugal, Spain, Italy, Croatia, then Greece. Dub says, just a summer of VW festivals. Wicked stuff, man. Wicked stuff. Right. I'm going to change my glovies because they are looking a little bit worse for wear, or at least one of them is. If you didn't catch it earlier, what are you guys drinking? I'm drinking a really lame non-alcoholic beer. However, it's quite delicious. Glove. These are called Covguard. Probably about 5 years old. 5 years since lockdown. How mad's that? 5 years since lockdown, this month. Crazy. God's sake. One down. As long as you only hear that sort of snapping noise on your hands and nowhere else when you're putting on anything else, you should be all right. All right, a bit more paint stripper. There we go. So, any other thoughts on the transporter? Sorry. Any other thoughts of the transporter? TIUK says, Oh, there you go. Well, oh, TI UK says, we moved on to custom throttle bodies 20 years ago. My old boss still makes them, trades it as VW Speed Shop. Mostly does vintage Porsche stuff now. All data log, very flash. I know VW Speed Shop. Mocha Madness says, in May I'm driving to the Moke to St Austell, Cornwall. Wicked. That sounds good fun. Right. A bit more paint stripper. I'm going to do this quarter. What time are we on? 45 minutes. That's awesome. Right, so if you are still watching and you are still enjoying some dude stripping paint off a 69 Bay, would you do me a quick favour? And I only asked a few minutes ago, but could you double tap the screen for me, and that'll give me a thumbs up. And then it'll help this video get out there, it'll help the channel get out there, and it helps us make more videos for you. So just double tap on the screen for me, or if you don't have the ability to do that, there should be 3 dots somewhere on the screen around here. If you tap that and say like video, that'd be brilliant. Oh, we got Goggy says, new transporter, bleh, it's not working for me as yet. Transporter HQ might be able to make it at least easier on the eyes. Yes, I spoke to Andy from Transporter HQ, and he has got lots of exciting things to look forward to, so definitely keep your eyes open for that. Definitely keep your eyes open. There we go, we're 45 minutes in, and I've done what? A square foot? Only the whole bus to do. However, progress is progress, right? Progress is progress. Quick question, if I was to just continue doing this into the night, how many people would still be here? Put your hands up. Have you all got better things to do? I'm not going to, by the way, because I've got some girls to put to bed. And admin to do, and life to just proceed with. But if I was to continue this for another couple of hours, who would still be here? Right, before the end of the video, I want to remove that bit and that bit. How's that sound? And then that will make a really good comparison of before and after. There you go, got some more comments. Julian Martin says, evening Leigh, drinking San Miguel and pondering the question. Is something like a Bluetti power pack the way forward instead of wiring leisure battery solar panels into a camper van? It is a good way of doing it. However, a Bluetti is designed for being temporary, like an EcoFlow, like all the other ones. You will find that if you want a high demand of power in terms of 12 volt, even down to a diesel heater, your 12 volt outlet on the likes of a Bluetti has not got the snot to deal with high output 12 volt. It'll deal with lights, it will deal with USB ports, etc, etc. But if you wanted to wire that Bluetti into, let's say, an inverter, it wouldn't deal with it. I know a Bluetti comes with an inverter anyway, but depending on your model of Bluetti, it's not even recommended to run the likes of an Autoturn planar off one, because the 12 volt outlet that would then feed to a fuse panel is not properly rated to be able to do that. So that's worth noting. If you just want a generic one to run some lights and some USBs, maybe a tap, maybe even a fridge at a push. But even fridges have a wattage spike. So worth considering. Now, the likes of a Clayton, on the other hand, and I know they're a lot spendier than one of these Bluetti power stations, that is wired properly and set up properly for running a camper van. Bluettis aren't designed for running a camper van. Bluettas are designed for a temporary power unit, more so for the inverter side rather than the 12 volt side, which is why they come with millions of USBs rather than a huge meaty outlet for your pos and your neck. So that is worth considering. Right, let's get back to it. TIUK says, moved onto a Transport T6 from a Transit Custom. Really like my T6. It does tend towards dash lights though. Currently oil pressure sensor fault. Dub says, spent most of the day playing with the interior light switch to VW. Never make it... Oh, light switch to VW, never make it easy. Just plug in, lol. Yeah. TIUK says, definitely fancy a power unit. FU says, I want an old 1993 Lamborghini. Now there's a cool car. My dream car and that sort of thing, and it's a proper bucket list car, is an F40. My obtainable bucket list car is a DeLorean. My absolute dream car is an F40 because that was my poster car as a kid. There's the F40. Was never into Lambos, but the Ferrari F40, and I'm not into many other Ferraris to be honest, it's just the F40. It's just such a killer design. Beautiful, beautiful car. But the Lamborghinis are just a bit too bling for me. I like the rawness of an F40. But yeah, F40. There's 2 more cars on my bucket list, I think, that are obtainable potentially, that I would love to own. One is a Series 2 Land Rover. Short wheelbase, what do they call it, an 88. With no roof, fold down windscreen, big oversized tyres. Love that, that's definitely a bit of me. And a DeLorean, doesn't even have to have the Back to the Future conversion. Just owning a DeLorean would be enough for me. I'd feel like king of the world driving one of those. And I know they're crap, but I don't care. I drive a 1981 VW Transporter, for God's sake. And they're not the best car in the world by a long stretch. Look at that, this bit's going. This bit's actually going. Right, Russ104 says 69 Chevelle, very cool, yes. Julian Martin, F40 is very cool. My poster car was the Countach. Yeah, see, that was that, wasn't it? You either had the Countach or Countach, or you had the F40. And however cool the Lambo was, I was definitely a Ferrari person. At a push, the Testarossa, but yeah, the F40. I think just because it was a race car in a streetcar body, wasn't it? Really? Didn't they make it just to be a race car? Julian Martin says, hang on, the comment's gone. Where is it? Flux capacitors are difficult to find on eBay. Dub says, EcoFlow, good for tent stuff. Got C-Tech in a van, can't fault it. Yeah, so the thing is now, power systems on vans are coming down in money by a huge percentage. Even lithium batteries. Fogstar, for example, the Fogstar Drift range, the Fogstar Drift Pro range, they've all come down. I don't want to claim I know a percentage, but the money, like we've built 2 big vans for the gaming people, and in the 4 months between building the last one and building the one we've got now, the batteries have come down at least £200. And you can get a very Billy Basic 100 amp hour Fogstar lithium battery for under 200 quid now, I believe. It's wicked. So you can either spend 200 quid on a real high power AGM battery or an entry level lithium from Fogstar, and then with the supporting components like a decent DC to DC controller, like a C-Tech or something from Victron, and yeah, you're pretty much there, right? Right, now this is cool. How long we got? 5 minutes. I might just go over this with a bit of CLR again, and we'll call that done for today, I reckon. What else have we got? Sally Smith says Carmen Gear would be my dream car. Dub says any Combe Valley discount codes. Well, let us know what you need. We might be able to hook you up, dude. Maybe we do an exclusive for live viewers. That might work, mightn't it? You know, if you watch the lives, we can make that code available for like 3 days after the latest live, and every time we do a live we change the code, so all you loyal watchers get some decent discounts and stuff. I'm down for that. And Dubs, if you don't ask you don't get, right? Right, so look at that, with a bit of water on, it's actually got some gloss to it. It's not bad comparison, is it? Bit of elbow grease and some really nasty chemicals. Right, the last thing I'm going to do on that section, before we run away, I'm going to get a fresh rag, he says. Fresh rag. What else have I got up here? What do I have? There you go. We've got some G3 compound right here. Should we see if we can mop that bit? Mop it. Polish that bit. Oh, just pulled the door handle off. Right, there you go, that's a clean one. Cleanish, anyway. Right, some really old G3 compound in a tube. See what we can do with that. Just to buff out that last bit of paint. You can hear the abrasiveness of the paint. What are we saying in the comments, guys? I still use the code. James says, I still use the code you had for Heritage Parks. Keep doing it, man. Russ says, did you watch Vice Grip Garage driving his LS Swap DeLorean home from the garage? Yes. Yes, I did. And I bloody love that car. And I bloody love Derek Bieri as well. I am very happy that he's still rocking and rolling on YouTube. I'm very happy that all the old Motor Trend stars are on YouTube, because I loved Roadkill and Hot Rod Garage and Dirt Every Day and all that sort of stuff. In fact, you may have seen me in one of my videos recently wearing my old General Mayhem t-shirt. Right, that's a really, really quick go over with some G3 compound. Look, there's going to be nothing left of this paint, is there? So we'll do a buff and we'll call the video, because that's 58 minutes. That's perfect timing, actually. Look at that. My God, we've got some gloss. We've got some sheen. That's pretty funky, isn't it? Considering what we started off with. Now, once we've gone off the live, go back to the thumbnail. We'll go back to the beginning of this video to see what that looks like. But that is pretty fun. That is pretty fun. Right, last minute. Let's go over this and let's say goodbye. So I've got some stuff to do and some kiddies to go to bed. Right. Last comments real quick. Julia Martin says, chap around the corner from where my brother lives in Stevenage restores DeLoreans if you're after one. I would love one. Right, here we go. So let's flip this round. That is previous. That's how bad it looked when we started today. And then check that out. Actually check that out. And again, Excuse the flickering light, it's very irritating. That's actually got a sheen to it. Maybe if I flick the camera around, it won't be as gnarly in terms of flickering. There you go. I mean, you can see the texture of the paint there. It's pretty horrible, but there you go. There's hope for this old bus yet. I knew I saw potential in this. But yeah, that's absolutely incredible. And you can just see some of the really horrible scratches. I've got to change the lights in here. But that's buffed. That's actually buffed. That's actually cut and polished a little bit. That is really, really cool. There you go. It's worth watching some idiot buff up some paint for that satisfactory result. What's next, he says? The whole bus. You've not seen the state of this thing. I've done this panel, that panel, front door, front piece. But we've got the whole thing to do, dude. Look at it. Look at that tailgate. That's going to be fun. But yeah, I think this is probably one of the things we're just going to continue doing with our lives. I'm just going to continue doing this and chatting to you. And on that note, I am going to say good evening. Thank you very much for watching the live. Thank you very much for watching the YouTube video that went out at 6 p.m. And comment on it. Tell us your opinions. Tell us what you really think. I really, really enjoy watching your feedback, seeing your feedback, replying to the comments, etc., etc. But that's really cool. I'm really happy with that. Dub says, feel good, motivated for the rest. Thanks for the stream. Have a good week all. Thank you very much, everybody. If before you go, you've got 30 seconds, please click somewhere around here. There should be 3 dots. If not, double tap the screen. It means you give the video a like. It gives me a good boost. And it means we'll still keep doing these videos and working on this. Let me know what you thought of this video. Leave it down in the comments if you're not watching it live. Let us know what you'd like to see in the comments. If you're not watching this live, I still read your comments if you're not a live watcher. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.